welcome to LOCKBEARD Phenomena number 59, August Moon. It is August 27th, 2022. Welcome everybody. I see Joe was first. Says I'm going to sit and chat and make dumb comments. You've been notified. Okay, awesome. Jay says, what else is new? Welcome, Jay. Welcome, Mr. Lee. He says you can make all dumb comments you want. Milkshake, guzzling, knucklehead, Mr. Lee calls Jay. Seems like Batmon has been referring to Mr. Lee as Giuseppe. I don't know what this is about, but something's up there. Leonard Tom Cruises. Welcome, Batmon. Zeus Nigel. Angel, welcome. Joe, I guess he stepped out for a little bit, but he's back. Welcome. Your favorite Joe. Take that to my grave, he says. Molly going to put you in an early grave. Oh, so wait a minute. You're calling Joe Giuseppe? You guys got me confused now. 20 years, she's been trying to put you in a grave. So you doubt it? You're a survivor? Batman says, yeah, it's been being married that will make you homicidal. Angel says to Joe, watch those fancy seltzer beers. You got the vid after drinking those. How many times I got to tell you guys, he didn't get the vid. Nobody got the vid. Actually, there's something I'm kind of working on that's going to kind of address. It's going to address the matter. However, I'm not going to mention the vid in the video because I'm going to be talking about something else. But just remember, it applies to the vid big time. Mr. Lee says, you see the video Soul Soft Shell Turtle Lockbeard put out? It's blinking eyes. Cute, man. Yeah. Them suckers can move. Cute little turtle. Joe says, I met a lot of impressive people in my life, you folks included, but nobody has impressed me as much as I have impressed myself. Smell your fear. Mr. Lee says, Joe, you have not met me yet. Joe says, shit, but I'm too old to be scared too much, except 8-foot tall, hairy freaking hominids. Joe says, Mr. Lee, you're definitely aces in my book. Love to have a pint with you sometime or several. Angel says, Joe, you're not that old. Next time you go to London, Mr. Lee wants to drink you, it looks like. Nobody's that old. Here we go, says Mr. Lee. Joe says, I would love to visit London again, Mr. Lee. Mr. Hughes here, welcome. Welcome. We're not old. Yeah, but realistically, I have less time in front of me than I do behind me. So you think. You may not. Of course, it depends on what technology you're going to be willing to use and what the government will allow us to use. There's definitely some very interesting stuff that's available. Some of it's available, but it's just so prohibitively expensive, and nobody's really talking about it for some reason. I don't know why. Telomere erosion reversal is absolutely not just possible. It's doable. It's being done. It's in a pill form. But it's just so damn expensive that and plus there hasn't been time. Unlike certain injections that never got properly tested, they were just deployed and then killed a bunch of people. Yes, they did in fact kill a bunch of people. But this stuff, the problem is it's TA65 is the product that's on the market. It's an artificial version of the the substance that your body produces it naturally. It's just that telomere erosion happens faster than the rebuilding process happens. So over time, your telomeres erode, and that's a major part of aging. But yeah, but we're not going to really know to what extent the telomere erosion contributes to aging until we've had time to see what happens to people who have been taking TX65 for 40, 50, 60 years. It's just going to take time to actually to see what the actual results are, because I mean we can measure telomeres just fine, but that doesn't tell us what actual results, actual age slowing or stopping or even reversal is going to be. It would just take way too much time. Let me know. Carries on. I live in the moment. I live more. I live as many more as I can. Italian for Joseph Lockbeard. Oh, yeah. I don't have any good Italian about me. Sandra Piper, welcome. Saying what I'm saying. No, no, no. Well, probably not. I guess it could be. Jen, welcome. Mind speaking. I don't know. Well, we can't even get remote viewing proven. So mind speaking has been proven. Like there's a lot of things that people claim are out there, and I can't seem to get anyone to prove them. You know, the remote viewing object has not been remote viewed. It just hasn't. No one has mind spoke to me. I don't hear any voices in my head. I'm starting to wonder if I should feel left out. Mr. Lee says cryogenics. What about that? Um, well, Mr. Lee, at this point, we don't have the ability to successfully revive a person. Um, so if you get cryogenically preserved, then um, you're going to have to wait until the technology comes around that can undo the damage done by the cryogenic preservation process itself, as well as whatever killed you. So while that's a stopgap measure, I guess, um, in case you can't take advantage of technologies that make you uh, where you don't age, where you're more resistant to dying in other ways. Um, if you die, before that stuff comes, then yeah, you might need to take advantage of cryogenic preservation because that's your only option, right? But it is. Well, I mean, put it this way: I'm gonna take a guess that who the people who've gone through this, when they get revived, they're gonna be like, yeah, that's really sucked. That might actually they might actually be suffering and we don't even know it, or well, they not currently, but as they were uh, being preserved, and then as they were undergoing the revival process, it could be excruciatingly painful for all we know. The Batman says, yeah, because I'm right here, Lockbeard. I'm Italian, so we know you don't have any good Italian in you. Joe says, I know how I'm going to die. And when I'll be 75 years old and chasing a Sasquatch to the forest trying to get it on video. States away. I'm states away. Duh. Christy Sci-Fi is here. Welcome. Mr. Lee says, hello, Christy. Tag on the camera so you can find the camera. Try to do that. Mr. Lee says, "Are we thousands of years behind alien technology?" Um, we can only speculate again about that, Mr. Lee. I think there are certain statements we can make with extremely high certainty, but but never 100% because you need scientific proof of something. You need actual observation of something before you can say it's a 100% certainty. But but logically reasoning, we have to, okay, there's a few things uh, we have to take as a very good certainty, right? That there are probably alien civilizations all throughout the cosmos, that many of them are way, way older than ours. And we could be talking civilizations that are 100 years ahead of us, 1,000, a million, billions of years ahead of us. So, so if that's so, then the answer to this question is yes and no. It depends on which aliens you're talking about. We might be thousands behind this one, but only 100 behind this one. We might be ahead of this alien civilization by 50 years for all we know over here. But this is all technically speculation. We don't actually know any of this shit. So that's just something to keep in mind. Jen says, Joe, you can't go chasing them. They'll have a camera, and goodness knows they'll want cell phone and such. That mom says, good, Joe, we got a plan. Always good to plan what happens when you pass. Joe says, if I ever see Rasta again, I don't care how scared I am. I'm going to get that hairy fucker on camera, close up if possible. I didn't die the first time, so I don't think he'll do me harm. Yeah. assuming they're out there. Joe's someone who's seen one, so there's no assuming for him. But for a lot of us that we really gotta have the actual evidence. Even if I see one, I'm going to be questioning some stuff. Did I actually witness a Sasquatch, or is there something else going on here? Is there some other phenomena at work? And I think there is a possibility of that, but assuming they're out there, they're not attacking humans. Either that's from a strong genetically instilled thousands of generations of dealing with humans has selectively bred them a strict behavior pattern of you do not jack with humans, you try to avoid them at all costs. It's a survival thing, because what happens when you jack with humans? Once humans know you're out there, they go get a bunch of spears and they hunt you down. Nowadays they get a bunch of guns and tanks or some shit. Hell, they can freaking shoot you from space at this point. For whatever reason, I mean, it could be genetically programmed, or it could be just a strong cultural thing that permeates their entire species. They all just simply know that humans are dangerous, and you need to avoid them at all costs. I think if they're out there, the government has definitely made contact with them. I know some people think the government's got their head too far up their ass, but no. The government likes you to think that they got their head up their ass, but they're trying to play stupid. They don't want you to know just how on top of some shit they are. And I think that if Sasquatch is out there, they're definitely on top of this. They definitely got teams of people who are in regular contact with all known tribes of the forest people, and are constantly updating them on how to avoid humans, what our technologies are, how to avoid being caught on camera. Um, for whatever the government's reasoning is, this actually kind of works out to the Sasquatch's benefit, right? They've been trying to hide from us for hundreds of thousands of years, and the government is probably helping them to continue doing that. Now, the government may have their own motives for it, but it's good for the Sasquatch people. So, win-win for somebody, just not us that want to see the evidence of them. So, like I've said before, from the footage that seems to be legit, from the accounts of people who seem to be credible, like Joe's account, his description, everyone's description of these things, it all comes down to, and look, I challenge any anthropologist to deny this. There are too many specifically human morphological traits in Sasquatch, and the ability of the Sasquatch behaviorally, whether it's cultural or genetic, it indicates too high of an intellect to avoid us. If you're able to avoid humans this well, you either got an extremely high elusiveness factor, or you're not just elusive, you have a degree of intellect that is comparable to ours. At the end of the day, I think this all adds up to these are Homo sapiens. They're not a separate species. I've said this so many times, and it's going to take me time to convince people, because they look at this thing like it's so damn different from us. Yeah, a Chihuahua is extremely different from a pug dog, but they're both dogs, and or Saint Bernard for that matter. Saint Bernard is way bigger than a Chihuahua compared to Sasquatch reports compared to humans. The size difference is just very tiny between humans and Sasquatch compared to a Chihuahua and a Saint Bernard. They are the same species, and I think Sasquatch are the same species as well, meaning that they are capable of our level of intellect, but they may have behavioral characteristics that are a little different. Now, different populations of humans do have differences in behavioral characteristics, genetically programmed, not just cultural. It's not exactly PC to talk about people, because they have this whole idea everybody is equal. No, everybody's not equal. Not everybody's equal. Everybody cannot be a physicist. Everybody cannot be a great athlete. There are vast differences in people, and there are behavioral traits vary depending on population, and Sasquatch is obviously no different in their behavior to avoid our version of human, our tribes, is certainly indicative of that. So, yeah. Bet Mom says, just cleaned a 3x4 square of carpet. That wore me out. Still have the whole apartment left to do. I could use a donut, y'all. Sometimes you just got to roll up the carpet and throw it in a dumpster and get new carpet. I don't know if you're there yet. Miss Lee says, I saw that thing in the sky again tonight, darting around. I'm going to take video of it for you next time, Lockbeard. All right, Mr. Lee. Chris says they don't want the truth out there. Nope, they don't. Batmo says, well, maybe Russell was lucky that morning. You might not be so lucky if Rasta wasn't lucky. Hint, hint, if you get my drift. Batmom says, Jen, I love chocolate. Hate sprinkles. Please take them all off. Sandra says, Batmom clean carpets is exhausting. Mr. Lee says, what I really want for Christmas is a telescope. It costs a lot of money, though. Yeah. And I'd really like to it'd be really cool to have a proper observatory, actually, with because you can get you a little telescope on a tripod, but you can do so much more if you have, properly a stable freaking observatory with a really big telescope in there. That but the stability is key, especially if you want to photograph what you're seeing through there. Christy says Sasquatch are very smart. They stay away from humans. Yep, they do. Jen says she's tried to help Batmom. This is what happens. Makes me smart too. Also, Uncle Bones and Donald Fuller, welcome. 50% Wendigo, huh? Boss says, hey man, what are you doing? Don't want to get too far behind the chat. Talking about STDs. See, you removed your bandana. Yeah, he removed his bandana. Don't know. Well, I kind of have an idea. Joe says, absolute Lockbeard's freaky. It can be scary depending on the situation, but I hope anyone wanting to see one does. Jen says, well, next time don't put sprinkles on mine. Shiz. Huh. No sprinkles. Some people don't care if they can prove it. They just want to experience it. Yeah, I think this is where we run into a problem where people get upset with each other. It's because different people have different goals. Now, I think some people are saying that their goal just to experience it. Not all, but I think some people say that just because it's their out, right? It's their out. To their excuse for why they do things certain ways, and yeah. So, and we're not, like the ones that tell the story say, oh well, I don't want to take technology out there because the Sasquatch won't come around, and I just want to experience it. Well, if you just want to experience it, why are you out here telling people your experiences? When you're not even willing to try at all to get any kind of evidence. It just makes me wonder if this person, and again, it's not all. Everybody stop thinking when everything doesn't mean everyone, right? It's just a lot of them. They want you. They want to tell whatever bullshit story they can make up, and then shut you up when you say, "Well, what do you got any evidence? Can you get any footage?" And they're like, "No. You can't have these experiences if you take a camera out there. You want to see this kind of weird stuff. You want to see Sasquatch cloaking and mind speaking and jumping through portals and all this nonsense that people make up. They're making it up until someone can prove any of these things outside of Sasquatch." That's my conclusion at this point, that it's made up because they can't prove it. Nobody proves anything. You can't declare something is a fact if there's no proof that it exists. I mean, seriously, prove portals exist, but see, because these people are making up a story about Sasquatch, they can include portals in their story to spice it up. And it doesn't matter to them because they were lying about the Sasquatch to start with. So they might as well lie about some portals and lie about some cloaking and lie about some mind speak while they're at it. Gauntlet thrown down. I'm sorry. Somebody prove some of this psychic phenomena. If it's real, there should be a way to prove it. I think Joe said something like this just yesterday, actually, about how everything can be discovered, and we should strive to discover all things. So people saying, "Oh, well, we shouldn't do the blah 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 blah." No. We should try to learn all that we can, and that's just absolute. Why have intellect if you're not going to try and learn all that you can? I mean, really, why have? I mean, go get a lobotomy. Go get a lobotomy. And watch Cartoon Channel for the rest of your life. I mean, what is the point of having the ability to learn and to think on the level that humans do if you're not interested in learning all that we can as a species? not just for the sake of learning, but to improve our our, uh, our standard of living, to improve our safety, to ensure the survival of our species. Our improving technology is what's going to save our ass in the future, because sooner or later a disaster will come, and that we don't have the technology for. But we might have made it there if people just tried to get there. But so many people seem to be like purposely trying to stop technological development. It's just amazing to me. And so should I be mad at those people? Absolutely, because that person is putting me and my descendants at risk of death, because they choose the ignorant path of humanity. They choose not to strive for continuous and rapid technological development. They are literally a threat to the safety of everyone on the planet, and they don't see it. They don't see it. They don't understand. It seems a little extreme way to state it, but I feel like maybe it needs to be stated that way so people like think about that. It's like you are actually causing an increased possibility of the extinction of the entire human race. Do you feel good? Do you feel good about that? Oh, you know, can't prove something you can't see. Well, look, there's some things we can't see that we've been able to prove, right? Certain wavelengths of light humans can't see, but we've developed technology to detect those, and we can develop technology to go beyond that. Um, Mr. Lee says Saint Bernard has whiskey in the barrel around its neck, though. In ghost investigations, also, for example, infrared, seeing temperature. We can make a camera that can see temperature. I got one sitting right there. Humans can't see like that. Snakes can, but humans can. That's okay, not a problem for us. We just developed technology that allows us to see, and we're able to detect. You may look, well, radio waves. That's something that we can't sense, we can't hear, we can't see typically. But never mind that, humans develop technology where we can not just detect them, we can utilize them to transfer all kinds of information and make radio stations and all kinds of cool stuff. So um, it's just a matter of time before we get better at detecting frequencies beyond that, since everything in the universe, everything that people call spiritual, and everything is a frequency of some kind. You know, we see this range, we see and hear and feel this range, right? We only this little range, and then we detect further out, and that's just getting wider and wider, and it goes on, and that's just that's all in existence. What people think of as spiritual, it's not another world. It's this world. It's just the undetectable part of it. It's this universe. It's just the part we don't detect normally, because we're in this little narrow range that we have. We only have the sensors to detect certain things in that range. Our eyes, our ears, and so on. Um, Joe says, "Yeah, I think they are a human species. I can't prove that. Yeah, or maybe ever, but that didn't look like a gorilla. Yeah, definitely not a gorilla. I'm just saying you're dealing with upright. Certain very specific selective pressures would be necessary to change something like a chimpanzee into something that stands upright like that, and change the foot. The foot's changed um, as well as the overall um, characteristics. I mean, it basically looks like a big human. Well, the chances that there was another species that within just that 6 million years or so since the human chimp uh, uh, speciation event, where we divided into two species, right? It had to be one speciations event at some point that were divided out. But at some point, humans got really good at traveling and exploring the world. And because we were going all over the place, the genes were always mixing. Speciation occurs because of some kind of isolation, usually a geographical isolation. This one, maybe a canyon forms, and there's populations on either side of the canyon that never interact for millions of years, and then their genetics become non-compatible anymore. You now have two separate species where there was one, and but the human all these different species, the Heidelbergensis and Ergaster and Erectus and all those, they were all over the place. They were all over the place. So they never got a chance for gene mixing to stop. Humans were too smart and had that exploring spirit or whatever, and we're moving around too much. So the gene mixing kept happening to such an extent that I don't think that there was ever another speciation events after the diversion between the divergence of human and chimp. Humans were just mixing too much. I need them to find some ancient DNA somehow and prove what they're saying, because I don't believe it. They don't got evidence to prove that any of those species that they've proudly declared and named, they don't got evidence to prove that they were separate species. They told us Homo neanderthalensis was a separate species all these years, but it wasn't, because they have DNA evidence now. They know it wasn't. They just got blended into Europeans, ancient Europeans, basically. They just got blended into us to the tune of 4%, they tell us. 4% of our DNA is Neanderthal DNA. So now you're starting to see where they're no longer calling them Homo neanderthalensis. They're calling them Homo sapiens subspecies neanderthalensis, as it should be. And I guarantee you there's going to be a lot more of that coming, because these yahoos, scientists have egos and they want to be, I'm the first to discover, I discovered a species and blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm right there with you. I want to discover a species, but they're too eager to declare something a separate species when they haven't actually proven it was a separate species. So, a bunch of these guys are going to get knocked off that little pedestal of, I discovered a hominid species. No, I don't think they did. I think they discovered a earlier version of humans, but it was still the same species as all the other ones at the time that all became us. I don't know how far back. It could be, we could go back, and we might be able to go back, and if we get a Heidelbergensis genetics and actually clone one, they might still be genetically compatible with the modern version of humans. But we're not going to know that for sure until that crap happens, and of course there would be ethical considerations before anyone's allowed to do that, right? So yeah. Someone says, Joe, I never needed to experience it to prove their existence. They've always been something that was real to my family and real to you and I. Hungover? I ain't touching your shiz. A donut is as far as it goes. What the hell? Donald, no man. What kind of friend is that? Devastated and disheartened. Brandy says, when a problem comes along, you must whip it before the cream sits out too long. You must whip it. What? He's singing a song there? Picking up what I'm stepping in? I don't know. It looks like I'm way behind in chat. I'll try and catch up. Shiz, your face. Welcome to the chat, Brandy, by the way. Whip it. Whip it good. Don says, I got a nice home built telescope my father made. Awesome, man. Don't drink any of that crap, but mushrooms remind me of Mario Brothers, so I take that. It's a statement. Absolutely. I'm not sure. Mr. Lee says, Donald, girlfriend says, satellite. It did freak her out one night, though. She didn't call it again. Yeah, I think I tried to film last night, or well, it was actually early this morning. I saw another one of those lights coming across, and it disappeared. It was going at a speed that could very well just be a satellite, though. Almost missed you. Um, skipping. So hopefully I don't skip anything important. Chris says, I like the ones who write books and never experiences anything. Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on what they're writing, you know. That mom says, to all them bitches that think they bootylicious, think they nutritious, I think they do dishes. Y'all rapping? Joe says, okay, it's date night and Molly wants to sit on the porch and drink. I'm down. Love y'all. See you later. All right. Have fun. Um, Donald says, I want some quality footage of this UFO, Mr. Lee. I'm working on a camera now. I will send you, but I want it back. Mr. Lee says, Donald, my girlfriend bought a new iPhone. I can take footage soon. It's coming. Will it be able to pick it up? Because I don't think my phone picks up shit good enough. I have a pulse. Yeah, she has a pulse. Donald says, Mr. Lee, this camera has a zoom lens as big as Carrie's new one. Chessboard's here, saying hi to everybody. Welcome, Chessboard. Joe says, I'm still here, but just going to say this. Lockbeard, we have to have a conversation about human evolution sometime. It's just you and me. Cool. Yeah, you're not the only one that said that to me, actually. Yeah. Keeping things buzzing, says Chessboard. Mr. Lee says, so my sisters had darker skin from my father's side, but me and brother inherited my mom's genes. We are ginger. Mr. Lee, where's Don? Is Donald here? Is Donald still here? Let me catch up in chat. We'll talk about that in a second. Everyone's a good weekend, Raptor. Welcome. Welcome to the chat. Joe says, yes, Chess, I did with that. I'm hitting the porch with the wife. Evocution. Yeah. A lot of people can't. And it's funny. I mean, still, every so often somebody says something about evolution. They think they gotcha. We debunked evolution. And they'll say something that clearly shows that whenever they were learning about evolution in high school, which actually don't teach you shit about evolution, if you think you understand evolution from what bullshit they told you in high school and what little exposure you've had from this documentary or that, you don't know. And a lot of people prove this every fucking time they try to, they try to attack evolution from absolute ignorance. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Evolutionary biology is extremely solid science. Sorry, it just is. So if you're having problem reconciling that with your religion, look, I ask you this: is your God powerful enough to create evolution? Is he, or is he not? Come on now. Why couldn't he have created evolution? If that helps you reconcile evolution with your God, whatever. But you have to admit that the science is, I mean, if you actually ever looked at the science, is pretty damn solid. Really damn solid. So, yeah. Chessboard says Lockbeard, I think Brandy was saying jerkanaut in its ass before it gets out of control. You guys are speaking some other language. Raptor says, so is Lockbeard talking about human evolution or is he talking about Bigfoot? Well, Raptor, sometimes when you talk about Bigfoot, you got to kind of talk about evolution. I mean, a lot of people think Bigfoot is a separate species from us. I don't think that's the case. I think they are the same species as us. They're just a different race. A race that's a little more different from those that we're familiar with than what we're used to, right? We're not used to. I mean, we're used to different skin colors, but we're not used to someone that's so hairy you can't see what color their skin is. I mean, we got a few, but some of them some of them some of them Central European guys are pretty burly. You know, got a little bit of that Viking left in them. Oh, I'm rapping. Sanders says Lockbeard was rapping, y'all. Mr. Lee says the thing in the sky is here. Lockbeard is set. Shall I take a picture of it and send it to you? So you're seeing the thing like it's just there all the time, or what's the deal? I mean, you sent me those pictures before. Is it the same thing you sent me pictures before? Jay says, I was thinking same thing, Senator. He should put that in rap music. Ask permission, Mr. Lee. I mean, you can send it, Mr. Lee. But if it's the same thing you sent me, I don't know. I mean, that mom says, I didn't know Lockbeard was down with the OPP. Oh my gosh. No, I'm not down with the OPP. Chessboard says, Lockbeard, if you came from a monkey, why are there still monkeys? Yeah, those kind of questions. um, how do you even begin? Because the person asked that question, right? They don't understand evolution at all. They think that's a gotcha question, but it absolutely is not. So, you know, where do I start? I think I should start by saying, look, you need to take your ass to an actual college, take all the prerequisites to get you up to evolutionary biology, then start taking evolutionary biology. And then when you're ready, come back to me and tell me how embarrassed you are that you asked the question. Walk this time. What did I walk into this time? Says Grasshopper. Welcome, Grasshopper. Hey, you know me. Tarzan is the answer. Locks rapping. Mr. Lee, you still here? Or is he outside taking a picture? I see Donald's. Here. And someone else. See, Jen says Grasshopper bit of this, bit of that. Lockbeard is rapping. Just never know. Mr. Lee, are you in here? Lock made a joke that tickled his gut. I must go. I'll catch up the rest of the time. Y'all have fun. I think we're going to reveal the remote viewing object Lockbeard 1 because I'll explain why in a little bit. Donald's here. Where's Mr. Lee at? Evening, all you cray evolved humanoid crypto weirdos. Mr. Lee. And where is Lockbeard? Do you believe everything you're taught from those that want you to know what they think they know? Um, well, no. I mean, like I've talked about, the problems with quantum physics, for example. There's some problems there. We were just talking about some problems with anthropology. Um, I've talked about some problems with the hypothesis of anthropogenic global warming. And there's problems in those sciences, so you always got to be on guard against um, you know agendas. There's a lot of agendas at foot. um, those people running particle colliders, they're blowing billions of dollars, and they're not going to find what they think they're going to find. They're not going to achieve grand unification. But there's a lot of money in smashing imaginary particles together, right? So you always got to be on guard from that. But if you look at the genetic evidence, like just genetics alone, once you understand how DNA works, you can, let's say you never ever heard of evolution, and you were born and you were taught basic, like reading and math and stuff like that, and then you were taught how the properties of the DNA molecule. You don't know anything about anything else, but basic, reading and math, and then you were taught the properties of DNA molecule. At some point, once you understand the properties of DNA enough, you would be able to predict evolution, because that's the only thing that can happen with a molecule that has the properties of DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Um, So that's just one. The fossil record is another. Once you understand the fossil record enough, and you understand, but once you understand enough, it's like a book. You just turn pages, and they're like, oh look, here's evolution, just just going down. You know, and then there's a lot of observations we can make real time. Now, a lot of people like they say, oh, you don't see this thing turning into that thing, right? Well, yeah, it doesn't happen right before your eyes. you know, so. So yeah, there's multiple sciences that back up evolutionary biology, and so somebody's going to have to come up with a real case um, that debunks all those sciences, and that's just not even remotely possible. So as much as people, I'm sorry if people don't want to believe it, they don't like it. They don't like it. I'm sorry. It's just pretty much a proven fact at this point. Lockbeard, okay, I sent them. Make what you want of them. I did ask Brandy. Is it the same pictures, the same object you sent pictures to me before? Whatever he said, you concur. Grasshopper says professors have to teach what the Smithsonian hierarchy wants them to teach. No deviation from that, or you lose your job. Well, there is a degree of that kind of stuff going on, but it does dart around. It does dart around, Mr. Lee. Check my hook while DJ revolves it. Mr. Lee, can you send it to me? Yo, I'll solve it, says Batman. Donald, I will send it to you now. Mr. Lee, I hope you filmed it. Grasshopper Chessboard says Grasshopper ETL. I follow Mark Twain. I never let schooling interfere with my education. Jay Fritz says Lockbeard evolution is not just a physical attribute; must be mental first, as the brain evolves. In my opinion. Where's Daily Dan? I need Daily Dan up in here. Hopefully, I don't know if he'll be watching this on a replay. I guess we'll just mention him as he pertains to this thing. ruined Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice ruined himself. Donald says, does it dart around or is it just not stable? So, okay. Daily Dan was supposed to go on another show, but I guess it got canceled. So I don't know. I don't have any updates on that, right? Because he was going to ask Bigfoot Michigan Rob to try and get Jessica Jones to remote view the object Lockbeard 1. Now we all know she's not going to do it because she can't remote view. She's lying. Yeah, hopefully everybody that has been over there watching Jessica Jones understands she is lying. That's why she's got it set up conveniently. Oh, I don't do personal remote viewings. It takes too much out of me. And yet she can remote view into the past, psychically talk with a Bigfoot in the past that has been murdered and has watched her child be murdered. Oh, that's not too much stress for you, Jessica Jones. That's not too much stress at all. A murdered Bigfoot who's lost her child, remote viewed into the past and telepathically communicated. That's what she said. That bunch of bullshit, ridiculous crap is what she said. And she wants us to, and so if anyone asks her to remote view something, we can actually check, right? Because no one can check that story. No one can check that story. Supposedly the government took the bodies, blah, blah, blah. There's no evidence anywhere to check that story. So she can make up whatever bullshit she wants. And that's exactly what she does until she proves it by remote viewing an object that I've designated. Then I might stop going hard on this, but she pisses me off. These people are just, they muddy the water where we're trying to look for what the truth of these phenomena are. Bigfoot, UFOs, ghost, psychic phenomena, all these things. We're trying to find the truth. And people like her out there scamming you are muddying the water and making it hard for us to find what's true and what's not. She is full of shit until she remote views the object. We'll say Mr. Lee brought up Lockbeard 2. I haven't designated Lockbeard 2 yet, but I will. I'll designate Lockbeard 2. And she needs to remote view that or she's still full of shit. The reason why I'm going to Lockbeard 2 is I'll explain that here in a second. Let me catch up in the chats. Mr. Lee says Lockbeard sometimes there are two. Donald darts around but very subtle. Chessboard says, Jay, how can the brain evolve with too much choco in the shake? Mr. Lee says, Donald, you knucklehead, I'm not swaying, dude. So I would be surprised if she did it, says Bat Mom. Yeah, she's full of shit, man. Mr. Lee says, Donald, I think best thing to get tripod of some sorts. Maybe I can make one. Some mental syrup. That one says it would be a terrible remote. I would be a terrible remote viewer. I'm so nosy. I would have to view every single person, their family members, their families, baby daddies. Yeah. I am not 100%. I'm not rejecting the concept 100%, right? I think there might be some fudge room within how, the science of how the universe really works to allow such a thing to happen. However, I think it's something that's not supposed to be allowed to happen because this reality to work the way it does. We're not supposed to have those kind of perceptions. We're not supposed to have them. That's why most people don't, and it's a very rare thing. It's sometimes if someone's having those kind of perceptions, they're defective. They're not supposed to. It's not something you're supposed, because these people talk about, oh, you're chosen and blah blah blah. And I kind of want to go off on that Cryptis Canada lady because she was doing some of that shit recently, and where she's talking about, oh, the chosen, and I wish I could say more, and she's very irresponsible. She's playing that whole thing, or I'm some kind of mystic and I know the knowledge of things that you don't know, and it's this mystical shit, and you're chosen and bunch bullshit. Absolutely, like you could smell the bullshit off of her. But yeah, I don't completely, but I don't completely dismiss the possibility of remote viewing. It's just someone's got to prove it. Somebody. And if Jessica Jones can remote view so perfectly and know the story of the Bigfoot that got shot and her offspring was shot, and telepathically communicate with the Sasquatch in the past, she's so full of shit. Absolutely full of shit. Meredith says, crap, what did I miss, Mr. Lee? Miss everything. Well, hello, everyone. Smile, I'm here. Donald, not stable. Actually, I'm just thinking of that footage Pat put on this table as a pile of crap and nothing discernible. Meredith, you missed everything. Welcome to the chat, Meredith. Batmom says, Locke, you're just saying she can't do it. Yeah, basically. She got the opportunity, but I mean, why did Bigfoot Michigan Rob cancel the show with Daily Dan because someone was monitoring here and saw that Daily Dan was going to ask about remote viewing the object designated Lockbeard 1. Lockbeard 1 is off the table as of right now, though, because I'm getting ready to reveal what it is and some interesting things that happened surrounding it, but nothing that proves any kind of remote viewing, but some interesting things that happened involving Daily Dan and Donald and my chat's just flying. I'm having trouble. I'll try and pull up the pictures in a little bit. I want to get through this remote viewing thing first, and then talk about what August Moon is. And that mom says we are all chosen. We are special. It's that some of us haven't lost our abilities. It all depends on the path of what brainwashing we have succumbed to. Chosen by who? What great entity sitting on a cloud somewhere has chosen? But no. Are we saying phony, Lockbeard? Yeah, phony. They're my friend. Beth of Ed guessing STDs. What the hell? Donald says I need film that pixels. The Mr. Lee says, Donald, I will take video when I can do it. Better with a tripod though. Donald says, Jay Fritz, I'm saying phony, and her view of the bees LBL incident was phooey. Yeah, see how she's remote viewing all these things that nobody can check? That's by design. She knows nobody can fact check her. So she can make up whatever bullshit she wants and just tell you what you want to hear. And that's what she largely does. Drake says, Lockbeard. What's up, Drake? Lock still hasn't denied the vids? What? Y'all were talking about vid co being an STD. But that mom says, Drake, I've never seen you. Welcome. Okay, so so the other night, like, there was a mix-up because I showed this shovel on screen, and Donald asked me if this was the object because he saw me show the object because I was talking about showing the object, right? And I guess he wasn't paying close attention. And Donald says, "Hey, is that shovel the object?" And he said because he saw me show the shovel, and I said I showed the shovel because there was a handle like this handle without the blade on it in that video from Mr. Duffy 81's channel, right, where he was claiming that that because there was a hole dug in the sand, which could have been dug with a little shovel like this. And then there was a handle of a little shovel like this laying there. And Mr. Duffy 81 said that the handle was left there. Basically, he was saying that Sasquatch left it there for plausible deniability, which has a couple problems. One of them is that's not plausible deniability. That's a red herring or even false evidence. Plausible deniability is where you're trying not to leave evidence, not where you're trying to leave false evidence. So he doesn't even know what the fuck plausible deniability is. So, but Donald guessed that this was the object because he saw me show it on the screen. And the other thing was when I showed this. The other thing that's funny is when I showed this, Daily Dan said I should sign this and auction it off or something. And at that point, I think I may have said something that I did say something that revealed what the object was. Now I showed you this because the handle of a shovel like this was in that video. I did not show you this because it was in fact the fucking object. But it was funny that what are the odds that Daily Dan would suggest that I sign this object when I show it? I mean, who would have thought to say that I should sign this object? Daily Dan said that when I showed this. Daily Dan, are you a secret psychic or something? Because I'm not playing around. This is the object. I mean, what are the odds that Daily Dan would say something like that about this when I showed it? What are the odds of that? I mean, only Mr. Spock can figure this shit out. But he said that. And then, of course, I think that Donald's guess was just based on confusion that I showed this after I said I was going to show the object. I thought it was funny that there was something that justified me showing this when it was in fact the object in Mr. Duffy's video. I did not plan that. That just kind of fucking happened. I'm sure somebody's going to say it's some kind of synchronicity or some bullshit. I don't know, but I thought it was funny, and Donald said, I think you can see it in the comments of one of the videos where Donald said that, and I said, yeah, that would be funny, wouldn't it? If I was doing that on purpose. It really kind of, I didn't plan that. It just kind of fucking happened. But yeah. Jay says I live 18 miles from LBL, folks. That shit didn't happen like it was presented. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just everybody keep in mind that presentation is everything. And people that are trying to convince you that shit went down at LBL, and some of them may not even be actively, they just believe because they heard this and whatever, and it's hard for them to see logically past what they've got a belief ingrained in their head, and it's hard for them to see past it. So and here you have a guy who lived right there and knows that there was some shady business going on behind that story. Batman says, Drake, unless you're a douchebag, then I'll take my welcome back. What the hell? So, is Daily Dan psychic? Miss Lisa Lockbeard, you put that shovel in our minds, so we thought it was the object. Brian and Chewy says, Duffy has been commenting on my videos. Has he? That guy's nuts. Sanders says, Jay Fritz, I'm with you on that one. Chessboard says, don't ask and I won't tell. Says, hello, Brian and Chewy. Go hiking. Who's my lady? Welcome to the chat, Brian and Chewy. Donald says, I knew it. You were being crafty. I'd like to say, I mean, I thought it was funny that happened, but I didn't really plan that. It just happened. I mean, how was I to know? Because I signed this like a month ago. How was I going to know that I would get like an email from Mr. Lee talking about this video from Mr. Duffy and then I'd go watch some Mr. Duffy videos and run across one of his videos that had a handle from a shovel like this that would present with me the opportunity to show this shovel and actually show you guys the item, the remote viewing challenge item, without you knowing. What? How's I did? You can't. I didn't plan that shit. It just fucking happened. Mr. Lee says Dan is a remote viewer. Well, I I just think it's the odd. I mean, I'm not saying anything. We don't know anything. All I know is that was an interesting occurrence. You missed the whole shovel thing. Yeah, yeah. Mr. Duffy 81 thinks that Sasquatch make little heart emblems in the sand on the beach he goes to. Brian Chewy goes hiking says, just saying he finds so many tracks, it's not even a big deal to him anymore. And saying if I want to see one, to leave Chewy home. Well, maybe Chewy don't want to be left home. Maybe Chewy's part of the team. Mr. Duffy's, best I can tell, he's completely full of shit. I mean, it was funny. It was funny when he was going after Bigfoot Anon, and that was although it was way uncalled for. But I was still amused. But I don't know that Bigfoot Anon deserves to be talked about like that. But I mean, I still think he's full of shit too. But yeah, they had some crazy stuff. That's a cat shit shovel, says chessboard. It's called deductive reasoning, Sherlock Holmes. Duh. Donald says, no, my guess was after the show, and I was thinking about you being sneaky and showing it. I mean, I needed the show. I mean, the situation presented itself where having the shovel as a visual aid worked. And it just happened that was the shovel was the object. So, but if any flash of sneakiness was just very brief and off the cuff. Does Duffy live near you? Well, hope. No, he watched my trackway video. He used to live in New Hampshire. He's been fine to me. He has connected on my hiking videos now. Donald says, look at the comments in that show where I replied saying I thought you were being sneaky showing it. I mean, I was in that moment. Yeah, I was. But I mean, I needed to show it. It's just, but I mean, because luckily, if I had signed both sides of it, then I would have had to like cover. Maybe I could have covered something, but luckily I hadn't, so it allowed me to show it. And because somebody, I think it was Mr. Lee, was like, "What's that thing? What is that?" Because there was an object in it, and it was a handle off of one of these shovels. So, but it wasn't like I planned that all week or anything. It just kind of happened. Can't we all just get along? Says Raptor. No, Raptor, we can't. Mr. Lee says, Dan, just a good observation skills then. Well, there's no way Dan could have known that was the object. Like, he wasn't suggesting that it was object. He just suggested that I sign the shovel for a giveaway, which was kind of odd. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, what about Diesel in New Jersey? So many adverts on his channel too. Oh my god. Well, because I'm using Brave browser, I don't get any of the advertisements, but I got fed up with ads a long time ago. But yeah, Diesel in New Jersey. Yeah, that's another one. Ridiculous. Rain yesterday. Miss Lee says just when you try to focus, advert comes up. Batman says Drake Jim is my lady. Is she everyone's lady? Have I been played? Ad blocker. Well, it just kind of happened. I didn't plan it out really. Don says yes, Brian. A couple days ago it was crazy rain. I thought we were going to get flooding. Mr. Lee says just for what is that? Do you have to pay? Lots of the ad blockers are free. So, does anyone actually know what August moon is? I'll turn the sound off on it though, because it's got some stupid. Y'all can read it or not read it. I don't know. Hold on a second. Too many steps. Too many steps. Celine. It's the goddess of the moon, Greek mythology. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard will send you some more ridiculous channels if you want. Well, I mean, I see so many of them. It's, it's if it makes you happy to send them, send them. But don't go every way. It's just I'm not always going to talk about them like I did with Mr. Duffy 81. Mr. Duffy 81 set me off with his ridiculous response to me. Donald says there's plenty of those. Mr. Lee says August moon makes a bigger moon. A full moon makes high and low tides more extreme. Rep says I was always told it was a harvest moon. Well, it's a festival every year. Because this year it's tonight or today or whatever it is in Greece right now. The full moon happens at different times of the month each year. So anyway, it's a full moon in Greece, and they celebrate it. Uh, Jen says August moon is called the Sturgeon moon. Chessboard says the natives called it the Sturgeon moon. So like it's a holiday. It's a holiday in Greece, kind of celebrating something in Greek mythology. It's the brightest moon of the year. Um, so there's just different festivals. The Olympic Games are connected to it a little bit, but so this this is probably like unless you're in Greece, you may not have heard of this, but I like Greek mythology, so let me start that over. Boom, there we go. So I guess over there, they're like museums, like to celebrate this August Moon Night. That there's museums and archaeological sites are open like all night long, and I think they're free. Um, so that people can come there at night and look at. I guess a lot of the sites look really cool, by the bright moon. Of course, the Titan goddess Selene is the moon goddess, and of course, her legend was that she was actually in a silver chariot, but what have you, drawn by two winged horses. She fell in love with Endymion, shepherd prince, who, now I've heard different versions of the story, but like Zeus putting him in a never-ending sleep, and she visited him every night and gave birth to 50 daughters, and which each represented the 50 lunar months of the Olympiad, 4 years of months, um, and was used to mark the beginning of the Olympic Games. So, yeah. So anyway, it's a celebration of this goddess, really. Let me see here. Sturgeon fish. Harvest moon in September. Well, this is not referring to that. It's referring to the brightest moon of the year in Greece. It's a celebration they have there. Based on a fish. If it's based on a fish, is it in? I don't know. I don't know about that. As far as I know, there isn't anything connecting that. Well, I mean, the moon does appear bigger at different times. I mean, its distance to the Earth fluctuates a little bit. Miss Lee says, according to new mythology, all star charts are wrong. Yeah, I mean, of course, every new religions that come through and take the people say that the old religions are wrong. That's just, the cycles go on and on and on. And, one day the major religions of the world today may fade into obscurity themselves and be thought of as we think of Greek gods now. At one time, people believed in the Greek gods, and now you'd be hard pressed to find anyone that actually does. Although I guess there's a few people. And one day the Christian God and the Muslim God will be looked on the same way. The cycles just they go on and on. But these people back then believed in these things. Now it's possible that a lot of these people they weren't like literal gods, or maybe they were like kings or very powerful people. Um, who were thought of because some of the things that they did. It's just it's like, now a lot of the stories don't even make any sense. So I mean, how many women can have 50 babies? you know, but last night Joe was going over some talking about various rumored cryptids and asking which ones are. Does anyone think any of these cryptids are cooler than Bigfoot? My first question is how do you define cool? And at this point, I really need that clip of Crocodile D saying, "This is what you call cool, is it?" But at any rate, Greek mythology has some cryptids that are pretty freaking cool, right? You got the Hydra. Every time you cut a head off, it grows two more back. You have Cerberus, the three-headed dog guarding the the underworld. You have um, you have Medusa, who is really good at making men hard. Oh, turning them the stone. Jen, Jen says, I've always been a Capricorn, going to stay a Capricorn, don't care what new sign they think we are. Dawn says, don't know nothing about this stuff other than being born in Aquarius. Yeah, well, I don't know that any of this, like, there might be some connections between this astrology stuff to that that correlates with some myths out of Greek mythology, but it really isn't. It's a totally different thing. Chessboard says, Jen, yeah, sweetie, how many times has history been changed? Like destroying statues now. Yeah. It's crazy some of the archaeological sites that have been destroyed, and we aren't as enlightened now as many people believe. We have these criminal, evil, despicable, rich fucks who run the world. And you know that they have this unlimited power, really. They have unlimited resources, unlimited money. Like, there's really nothing they can't make happen if they really want it to happen. So if anything happens, like Bright Insight was talking about that archaeological site in Iraq that was completely demolished and destroyed. Why would you destroy an archaeological site like that? Like, they brought in dozers and stuff and completely wiped it out. Why would they do that? They're clearly hiding something, right? There's something about the past they don't want us to know. Any legitimate government's going to preserve archaeological sites, but they just completely annihilated that and bulldozed it over. They just erased it, completely erased it. Here a few weeks ago, a lot of people don't like the Georgia Guidestones, but it don't matter. It's still a monument. It needs to stand. You can't pick and choose your monuments. You can't say, well, I like this one, but that one says some stuff on it I don't like, so we need to tear it down. Well, if we go by that, then we got to be fair. Everybody wants somebody else's monument torn down. The Christians want the Satanist monument taken down. The Satanists want the Ten Commandments taken down. If we go by that kind of logic, because it defends some group, we're not going to have any monuments left at all. We'll just tear them all down. No, they all stand. They all need to stand. They all should be preserved equally, whether you like them or not. Mr. Lee says, Donald, the song Aquarius, Aquarius. Donald says, yes, Mr. Lee, the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter lines up with Mars. Jen says the Greeks had Titans and Cyclops. Yeah. There was all kinds of wild shit. Like, there's a whole fucking thing of cryptids in the Greek mythology. And I think Medusa is definitely cooler than Bigfoot. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Jake says, and if you put the brain in a gnat's ass, it would rattle like a BB in a boxcar. Fifth dimension, says Donald. Mr. Lee says, how many dimensions do you reckon there are, Donald? 11. Why is there 11? Yeah, like mainstream science trying to say there's other dimensions and stuff like that, and they try to say that there's a multiverse, like there's, like, of course, how many people have been exposed to that concept, like that, what the MCU's been showing of late, where there's, within the same space, there's another Earth and another Earth, and there's just infinite Earths, and they're all different, a little bit different. Some of them are very similar, some are that whole concept. It completely ridiculous. Like there's no, but see, their math like adds up to like they can't understand. They're like they're what they're seeing. They're seeing that there has to be more to the universe, like a lot more than what they are able to actually detect and observe very well. And they don't understand that doesn't, so they come up with this stuff like there's a multiverse. They don't understand that there's way more to this one universe that exists that we can't perceive. We perceive this tiny little pin. If this is everything to perceive in the universe and space, there's a tiny little pinprick, little bit of pinhead in there somewhere, and that's what we can actually observe, what we can see and hear and feel. We only exist in that little thing. We can't actually interact with the rest of it. Not very well for the most part, anyway. So when they start trying to say, well, there's these other dimensions, that's another thing. Dimension is a spatial thing at first, right? Because three-dimensional space. Now, I generally think of a time as the fourth dimension, and without time, the first three dimensions can't exist anyway. So it's an integral part. It takes, for something to exist, it takes time. If there's no time, then there's no existence. So you can have three dimensions all day long, but there's actually not a day because there's no time and you don't actually exist. So it's an integral part of the existence of this world. How do you know that? Jen says Lockbeard Medusa is cooler because is snake dreads. Yes, yes, and most importantly, she's good at making men hard. Chessword says Lockbeard like the Taliban's destruction of the Barneon Buddha statues in the mountain rocks. Well, all the cases, yeah, everything. Like this is why like people are scared of world government, and they should be wary of it on one hand, but we also kind of need it to protect all the archaeological sites in the world. The problem is what we have currently, whether you think of it as the United Nations or whatever, is corrupt and evil and needs to be removed. And who do you replace that with? And how do you make sure they stay legit? They don't become corrupt. Which I've explained. The system that I think is necessary, but most people will reject monarchy. And I don't know. Like in our society, people are used to living in a situation where they think that they are free. They think they got a choice in the matter, which you don't. You don't actually have a choice. So that's the problem. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. It's always an illusion. But they trick you and they make you think that you had a choice, and you never did. The only way you actually get a choice is if you are able to physically remove the leaders and throw them in jail and other things. So usually that's what happens. Yeah, that's happened throughout history. Is they end up you get dragged out and they do bad stuff to you, and you cease to be. But anyway, this current government that runs the world is just so stupid powerful. It would take all people on the planet rising up and scouring the globe for every last bunker and eliminating all these corrupt, evil scumbags, um, who I think should be put in prison. Um, you know, not advocating that humanity go on a major killing and outrage, but if such an uprising were to occur, that's exactly what would happen. That's what humans do; they kill. So um, it would be something that got way out of control really quick, and it would be very ugly, very very ugly. But yeah, I say the Eternus Empire should replace them. So um, and of course, the officially, since we conquered the world in 2005, the world just hasn't recognized that the European Union has refused to the order to stand down. So um, unfortunately, I don't have the power to make them stand down. uh, that's because they are corrupt, right? They're corrupt and evil. Also, because I live in the 11th dimension, that's the Wendigo lair. Broke my heart to see them tear those structures down. Yeah, it's ridiculous. We must the archaeological um, sites that we have. This record, it belongs to all humanity. It's our history that it must be protected. Period. All of it. It must be protected. Um, how do you make? How do you? How do you stop this nonsense? It's crazy. The European Union. I mean, sorry, the United Nations. European Union being a part of the mess themselves, but try to act like they want to protect her World Heritage sites and stuff like that, but most of it's just pissing in the wind, and they still let shit like this happen. You know, they need there to be some degree of chaos in the world because they could easily look. They could easily go in and just and like Afghanistan. Um, there was no need for years of war there. If we had a legit war to fight and we wanted to go defeat some yahoos in a cave, we could have done it easily in an afternoon. The president could have been sitting there drinking a beer on a White House lawn, typed a few buttons, on some lunch coats, or maybe not even that. He just gives the order. So look, we know where all these assholes are. If them acting like they knew where those assholes are, don't let them fool you. They knew exactly where they were. They were involved. The federal government was involved with that. There is no way that attack happened without our government being involved. No fucking way. They let that happen and they probably planned the whole fucking thing. Those but dimensions though, just saying. Raptor says, I feel like I'm watching Doctor Strange in the multiverse. Oh, dude, I part of me wanted to watch it, but I didn't. It's just, you know, you look at the clips, look at the spoiler reviews, so you get the story and you see what's happening. They have destroyed the MCU, and She-Hulk, man, we're gonna have to do a random live about She-Hulk, man. Holy shit, dude, it's so goddamn fucked. I need to have a conversation with the writers of this bullshit, and I mean to ask them. Are you purposely trying to show us why feminism is completely retarded because that's what She-Hulk is doing. It's actually showing like how feminism is completely fucked up. Not being anti-woman or none of that bullshit. This feminazi far left psycho crap, where they hate men. They hate men. They don't want to acknowledge that there's two genders, that have differences. I mean, I'm sorry, there's differences between the genders. Men are bigger and stronger. That's just biology. Women could give birth. Most men would probably have a heart attack and die trying to do that shit. We're not built for that. It's yeah, man. We don't even want to go down that rabbit hole right now. Michio Kaku. Plenty of popcorn. Just put a seatbelt on so I don't fly off the couch. Mr. Lee says, Raptor, you got seatbelts on your couch? That's a weird, it is kind of weird, Mr. Lee. Trudeau, yeah, Trudeau definitely needs to go to prison. Mr. Lee says, oh no, not the politics. Yeah. Mr. Lee says, is that an orb behind you, Lockbeard? Where at? Right there? It's just, no, I mean, there's something light back there. Yeah, I think I need to, like, well, I got so much stuff I'm trying to do. Like that little project I'm working on that I would certainly like Mr. Lee to have a little participation in. That would be really cool. I think it would be kind of funny. I won't say why right now, but I think there'd be something funny about it. But anyway, so doing like it's talking about, for one, let's let some other because they're only up to the second episode of She-Hulk, which the second episode was 21 minutes long. That's it. 21 minutes of dumbassery. Well, I mean, nothing really nothing much happened, but that mom says men are physically stronger, but women are intelligent and emotionally stronger. Dawn says, I bet Sandra Piper could whoop me. She might. She put you over her knee. She make you pick a switch. Mr. Lee says, Donald, Sandra has amazing biceps. That made me think of the movie Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country. Which, who the fuck named that movie? Anyway, and there was so much to like Klingons quoting Shakespeare and shit like that. Like, get the fuck out of here. What the fuck were they thinking? I mean, I still liked it with Star Trek, but there was some dumb ass again. Anyway, there the Klingons were on board, and they were like a couple of guys were commenting about one of the Klingon women. They were like looking at her. She has wonderful muscles. Donald says, "Where's everybody? Is there another show?" I I think the Nona Boss Continuum comes on. It's came on about 40 minutes ago, 41 minutes ago. So some people might have slipped out for that. And I don't know what they're doing on some of the channels I don't normally follow anymore. The bullshit end of Bigfoot, but someone might have slipped out for one of those as well. Raptor says, yeah, the show they got on Disney is nothing like the comic book. She-Hulk in the comics was a lot better than the show. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really follow those comic books. There was like for the one, I don't remember following comic books very much at all. I do remember the Swamp Thing. I liked the Swamp Thing, but I mean, once the MCU started out and they seems looking pretty good. I was very interested in it. I never was really interested in it before, so I can't say I've been into these comic books since I was a kid and blah 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 blah. And ultimately, because a lot of people say, well, they're not sticking to the comic book stories. Well, the MCU never has been 100% in line with the comic books from what I've seen. They're kind of doing their own thing, but they need to be consistent with their story. Um, there's this whole thing of continuity, which has been a problem with so many franchises, and where they can't keep it straight. They can't keep their story straight. Um, you got to keep your story straight, or it starts falling apart. And people that are really big fans are seeing it, and they're like, "Well, how can that be? If this happened over here, this don't make any sense." And they're getting where they're just piling up that stuff that doesn't make sense. Okay, Hulk in She-Hulk, they get in a car wreck. He actually gets injured and bleeds in her, and that's how she gets it. Well, for one, um, what a stupid way for her to become She-Hulk. But from what I understand, that's not what happened in the comic books at all. She was attacked, I think, and to save her life, he had to give her some of his blood. But the idea that and they're trying to say, well, he's got this device on that keeps him from changing. Well, I'm going to say that's still bullshit, because when he jumped out of the ship or whatever and he landed on the Rainbow Bridge, and he didn't change. He thought he was going to change before he hit, but he landed in human form on the Rainbow Bridge, and he was not dead. He did not splatter. I don't think there was a drop of blood that was shown. But he did end up turning into Hulk. But so I don't think he can be damaged when he's not in when he's in his normal human form. So how is it he gets in a little car crash, and what's this? The spaceship appears in the road, and that's what makes him crash. What a ridiculous fucking bunch of shit. That mom says kids outside scream just to scream. You only scream when you're being hurt or kidnapped. The damn kids got me second guessing, going to see if they're screaming to be a turd or are they in trouble. Oh yeah, Mr. Lee. Let me see if I can get him. What thunk? Boy cried wolf. Yeah. Spell check. Yeah, they're fine. I tried explaining it to the little girl, but she in La La Land. I'd say you gotta whack them around, whack them. But then these days you can't use that kind of punishment with kids, and especially if they're not yours. Their mom would come out, "Why are you beating my kid? Because your kid's a little piece of shit." All right, Mr. Lee. Let me see if I can get. Oh, there's 5 pictures. Um, Okay. All right, I'll tell you all right now, you're gonna be disappointed. Yeah, because it's not. Trying to figure out how am I going to show this. Hold on, it's going to take. Bear with me. All right, I think I got this figured out. Yeah. All right. Yeah, can I zoom in? Yeah, I can. Awesome. All right. We're going to make this happen, Mr. Lee. We're going to make it happen. Jasper says, Uncle Bones, I say bring back the Willow Switch Blues dance. Yep. Kids know better. Go cut me one. I don't have the camera, just an iPad douchebag. Yeah, but I mean, it's well, the other pictures were from the daytime, and it's just this spot in the sky, and then this here is at night, and so you just got a light. So nobody can really see that this is anything other than a star. So 720 resolution, YouTube not helping. Yeah, yeah, it's not going to help. Well, it's a still photograph, so like I said, like nobody can no, it's inconclusive. All we see is a star, or there's a lamp behind a piece of black construction paper with a pinprick in it. I mean, there's no way we can determine what this is. It's just that's just the reality of the situation. Get the kids, a dog shot collar. It looks like Jupiter. Yeah, so I mean, now video would be helpful. So if we see that it is, stationary, and then it moves and then it stops again and it's doing stuff that normal aircraft can't do. Um, Especially if it moves at an extraordinary rate of speed. I mean, that would tell us, okay, something's weird going on here. But if it's a stationary object, as far as we know, it's a star. If it's a light that looks just like that and it's moving across the sky at a steady pace, it's probably a satellite. So, so it's just inconclusive. There's no way to know what this is. Um, so there's 5 pictures, but that's the brightest one there. See what I mean? It's even harder to see this one. Yep. Go back to the first one and see how much I can zoom in. That's as good as she gets, Mr. Lee. The movie Wedlock. I will get proof. Well, yeah, but I mean, proof of. I mean, what are you proving other than there's something in the sky? I mean, are we proving it's what its nature is, or? But yeah, we need to see video to even begin to think maybe that because it's just a picture, it just looks like a light in the sky. So there's no, and we can't tell what it is. So anyone could say it's just a star, but you're saying it moves and stuff. So if you could show it moving, like show like if it's you said it's stationary sometimes and sometimes it moves, and so this is some weird sounding stuff. So you have to have video. Pictures really aren't gonna they're not gonna do any good. It has to be video. Not a movie type guy. Uncle Bone says Donald, if he grabs her a hone, he might get slapped. Donald says, Mr. Lee, have wifey film it with her phone and send it to me. Is it still there? Let's open up a slide by. Paramedics here says, yep, that's your anus. You got an awful bright anus. Yeah, it's gonna have to be video, Mr. Lee, because if we can at least see movement that can't be explained by conventional human technology, that would be at least tell us, okay, this is something that our civilization doesn't openly have. Now, our government might secretly have it. Chessboard says grasshopper prisoners wore a collar that exploded if you got outside a certain perimeter of the partner you didn't know. It's an outside light. Miss Lee says that is a spaceship telling you. Well, we need video to even begin to say that. The pictures don't prove it, but it could be. It's just the pictures don't prove it. There's Uranus. Donald Fuller says that's a London street light for fuck's sake. You smoke way too much. So Donald's guessing it's a London street light. Piloted by Tom Cruise. Says paramedic. Grasshopper says digital cameras will always show this kind of pic. The contrast is too great. Mr. Lee says you are knuckleheads, all of you. We're all knuckleheads. Raptor says it looks like a picture of the moon with clouds in front of it. Well, it's not a moon. I mean, it's definitely not the moon. I mean, Mr. Lee took this picture just now in the sky, and so this is actually a pinpoint, like it's like a star, size of a star. So it's not the moon. Mr. Lee says LOCKBEARD phenomenon next week for update on thing in sky. Yes. Um, yeah, if you can get some video showing the movement, like day and night, would be cool. Maybe we can give her a closer look. But what I really need from you is that thing that I asked about for that thing. We it would be really cool. Um, which is going to take me time. It's going to take me time to work on that thing, Mr. Lee. So it's going to be kind of a production. So, but I want to make sure it's handled right because it's so easy like talking in live streams for shit to just get you know it gets wild, right? Things get out of hand. People take things wrong. Some people come into chat trying to start shit on purpose, and shit gets out of whack. And so, anyway, we need to deal with all that bullshit and do it right. So, and I think a little bit of contribution from you would be very, very beneficial. Chessboard says that's Jay looking for his sunglasses at night. Jay says, looks like headlights on my old Volkswagen. Donald says, the Mr. Lee narrative show live with Mr. Lee himself. Yeah, now that you mention it, maybe Mr. Lee should come on camera and talk about it. Jen says, yeah, Jay, that's a VW bug headlight for sure. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, that will be upsetting a bit. You know that. Yes. But I think it'll make a statement in a way. And hopefully that statement is taken, it's positive. I want it to be positive. It needs to be positive. Because too often shit gets all kind of negative up in here. Son of a bitch. I may not be able to get any light on the subject here. Maybe I can do that though. That's as good as it's gonna get because my light has been acting up for a while, and I think it's finally trying to die. Donald says, "Lock, did you ever send me what you wanted me to answer?" Not yet. Like I had, because I'm not. This is probably going to take a little while. All this, and so I got to put, because I don't want to. I mean, I'm not ready to jump into that just yet because I'm not really sure. I think that some discussion needs to be had about, how this presentation is going to happen. It needs to happen. The tone needs to be right, and so I don't know how long it's gonna take. Like, time's limited, and I got yeah. Should do it, Carrie Arnold, and say, look, we're gonna make a documentary. And put a GoFundMe up for the documentary. But Mom says all this shadiness is going on here, and I'm not a part of it. Tight circle. I'm keeping on this whole thing. That Mom, don't worry. Nothing to worry about. Paramedic says, yes, Mr. Lee, go live. This thing may get you by next week. Sander says, gotta go, but hopefully we'll be back. All right, see you later, Sander. We're at the 2-hour mark, so I'm trying not to do this 4-hour stuff. I know People ain't got time for no. I ain't got time for 4 hour. I did power through Joe's 8 hour thing the other day though. Oh, that was crazy. I did have to set the speed up a little bit because time's limited. Time's limited. Mr. Lisa's Lockbeard. I don't want to upset no one. You know that. Yeah, and I think you will be. I think you'll be pleased of what my plan is on that whole deal. Unfortunately, like it's just kind of like sometimes you can't win, like no matter what you say. Um, so there may be a degree of that that's just going to have to be accepted. But you know, like you could go and like with Patrick Vaughn, for example. My thoughts on him, thinking that he saw a Sasquatch disappear right in front of him. Right. If I give him the benefit of the doubt that he's being honest, he actually believes this is what he saw, and that he's not lying or anything like that. And since we haven't been able to show any other creature on the planet, humans haven't been able to obtain this ability to just cloak, like the Predator from the Predator movie, right? So, so we haven't proven that kind of thing exists, right? We haven't proven it, and so if he thinks Sasquatch has disappeared, so my thought is possible logical explanation for this that is far more likely than Sasquatch can cloak like a Romulan ship. um, is that he saw this thing, he was in shock for a moment, and he blacked out, not fall down blackout. Like I think a lot of people probably experience this when you've been drinking quite a bit, and you're walking around, you're talking to people, and then you'll black out where you don't remember like the last 5 minutes or 30 seconds or whatever it is. You have moments where you were checked out. You were drunk, but you were walking around and you just checked out. So I think it's possible that he saw this thing, and in a moment of shock, he checked out for a moment there. And in that blacked out moment, the Sasquatch hid in the bushes. It was able to get away and hide. That's far more likely than the thing cloaked. He just blacked out for a moment. But because he's so insistent on this belief that he knows what he saw, he will not listen to that. He will not listen to that potential explanation. He will not consider it for a second, and he will get mad at you for even suggesting it. That's what happened on my channel 2 weeks ago. And of course, Barry Browning was here stirring, like he was here to cause shit. We all know he was here to cause shit. He hasn't been here for a long time because me and him were not seeing eye to eye on the 168 thing. And he was insisting on taking shit in the wrong way. And and we all know he's in bed with all those yahoos that are perpetrating all this bullshit, right? The bullshit into Bigfoot. That's what his real motivation is. So, so Barry Browning to show up here, we all knew the moment we saw him. Me, you, and me, Mr. Lee, and a few others. We knew that he was here to start shit, and that's exactly what happened. So, Donald says there was too much taken out of context. Mr. Lee says, on the other hand, people don't mind to upset me, though. Yes, yes. Well, my goal is to try not to upset everybody. Just just present the case, talk about the potential things that actually went down or possibly went down, and not to. There's no attacking of people. That's not what this is about. This is about determining what's true and what's not, and how we can become um, confused by things or mistaken about things, and absolutely in some cases believe 100% that we saw this thing, and then how we might not have, and being able to face that and understand, like, everyone needs to be able to do this, right? We need to be able to understand it, because when we go out there and we're looking for these things, I mean, you know we're looking for the truth, right? We're not looking to be we're not looking for pareidolia in the bushes. We can go pay Mark Zasky to see a bunch of that shit, right? And we need to be able to go out and be able to positively um, identify when our eyes are playing tricks on us, and that happens a lot of times in the woods, and and to be better armed for the future, and to be able to be guarded against that a little bit better. So anytime that's appears to be what's happening, we need to take it on. We need to um, address that, and hopefully it helps everyone. The people involved, the people who are not involved, who are seeing this and saying, "Okay, I see how when I was in the woods and I saw Bigfoot, that I really didn't get a good enough. Like it could have been just a trick of the light in the branches in the tree trunk or a tree stump, or a shadow or whatnot. I wasn't actually close enough to see it. Like Joe's encounter or Jay's encounter. Now these two encounters, like they were too close. But there's so many people that have encounters where they weren't close enough to be able to make a positive ID that this is a big hairy person, you know. And so we need to be able to separate those out, because I think a lot of people go out there and they want to be able to say I saw Sasquatch so much that they will every shadow is Sasquatch. Now some people are just doing that because they're just bullshitting us. And those are some of those channels we've been talking about, but some people, they are like they're tricking themselves. So it's something it's part of this it's part of this whole game, right? It's part of this whole phenomena. So we need to look at that, and to help people be better able to avoid those kind of situations. Raptor says, Mr. Lee, no big deal with me. You took a picture of a light. We just don't know what it is. We'll find out later. Better evidence. Uplifting. Keep a stiff upper lip. Yep. Yeah. Paramedic says, hello, Angel. Fixing to head into a concert. Been in the parking line for an hour now. Holy crap. Jesper says, Donald, you were right before the correction. Raptor says, Mr. Lee, take your time. No rush. Not on my end. That mom says they can't prove the cloaking when you can't see them. Grasshopper says, uncloaked at the moment. Paramedic says, the Black Crows in Whiskey Myers, Miami, Oklahoma. Jay says, my opinion, them big feet fellers use shadows to their total advantage as well. Yeah, no doubt. If they're out there, and you're what people call a knower. I kind of hate that word, a knower, but you've seen one, you've seen it close enough that there was no doubt that that was a freaking Sasquatch. So those things, they clearly, who's been talking about Jeff's been talking about, like, special forces or something like that, where they're trained to, go out in the woods, not be seen, and be silent. And as part of the evidence, and I mentioned that a long time ago as well. These guys, these are humans who are able to, like, you will never know they're there. You'll never know they're there. So Sasquatch is probably like 100 times better than that, and they use everything. They use everything to their advantage. Mr. Lee agrees. Raptor says, don't get me started on Patrick Vaughn. He makes up stories. He clearly bumped his head on the sidewalk. uh, very possibly, Raptor. I'll just use my computer screen to shed some light, I guess. It's too damn bright, but Chessboard says Batmom Carnegie Mellon University has experimented with cloaking for the military for years. Yeah, but they're using that where, basically a picture of what's behind you kind of thing. Donald says not one other creature on this planet can cloak. Why can Bigfoot? Because when someone's making up a story about Bigfoot, they might as well throw in some spice with some cloaking, because you're not going to be able to prove it's not true, right? Because you can't. They can claim there's a unicorn out in the woods too, and you're not going to be able to prove that's not true because there is no unicorn there to disprove. The burden of proof is on the person making the claim anyway. So, if cloaking is something that Bigfoot can do, then there's bound to be something else on the planet that can cloak, right? Anything, right? Biologically, just somehow there's nothing. There's camouflage, and they tried to sell us that stuff with the hollow hair stuff. I'm going to need to see some more evidence of that shit, because polar bears have the hollow hair thing, and all that is makes them look white. And so if that's what that does, I mean, I imagine, the lights are certain colors in the woods, but I think that if he's got hollow hairs, he's probably going to stick out more because of them, not necessarily be cloaked because of them. So I'm not buying into that. And someone needs to, I don't know, make a collect enough hollow hairs and make a suit out of them or something to demonstrate that actually working. If they can demonstrate that it works on its own as a thing, then maybe you can start saying, well, Sasquatch can do this or has these kind of hairs. Or Rocklahoma, yeah, very upsetting. You must not say shit like that going around saying shit. Very upsetting. The whole thing is very upsetting. Not sure. Oh yeah, fucking Barry Browning. It's bullshit. And as I think Donald pointed out, that he gets that from the Hot Pocket Man over there, who calls everybody that who disagrees with him. Uncle Bone says paramedic, the Liliac van will be there. Rock on, rock hard. And Mr. Lee says, and Barry Browning, if you're watching now, fuck you. Barry, how the fuck did you piss off Mr. Lee? Every so often it happens, but it's a rare thing, but it does happen. And Barry Browning has managed to do it. Paramedic says, Uncle Bone's cool. I will check them out for sure, since you know of them. Batmom says, calling anyone a pedo without proof is fucked up. Yeah, he says my van. And he said, like, look, this thing's covered in big ass windows. It's like a conversion. It's like a mini RV. It's a conversion van. I mean, on the bright side, Barry Browning clearly doesn't know pedos prefer white vans with solid sides, so no one can see their. Damn it! Someone's gonna be pissed off about how I reacted to that. But anyway, Barry doesn't. So on the bright side, Barry's. I mean, we know that Barry's not a pedo because he would know this for sure if he was a pedo. Shit. Again, I'm not. My wording is not always the best, so someone's probably already pissed at me somehow for all that. Donald says, "Mr. Lee, how high in the sky is the light?" No idea. So it shows you who the person is to be able to say that word just willy nilly. It makes me sick. Everything I say, every time I say the word. Yeah. What angle, Mr. Lee? Close to the horizon. Yeah. Yeah, it's just not, you shouldn't accuse anyone of anything without some proof. But especially something like that. That person's he's lashing out in a very inappropriate way at someone. And yeah, it's just not cool. Straight ahead, man. Still here, just listening, says Meredith. Batman says, if you really think about it, they can't prove that they have seen Bigfoot, but we can prove that they haven't. You mean we can't prove that they haven't either? Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, like proving a negative. You can't prove a negative. So when people say, um, that they when they try to get you to, they try to say, well, because you can't prove I didn't. No, that's not how this works. We can tell those ancient Greeks that Selene doesn't exist, and they might say, "Well, you prove she don't exist?" And like, of course, I can't prove she don't exist. She she don't exist. So there's not there's not such thing as evidence of non-existence. You either if you exist, then we can find evidence of existence. Either the very fact that you don't exist means there's no evidence. So these people are actually asking you to provide evidence of non-existence, and that's absolutely fucking retarded. Donald says the horizon ain't here yet, or Mr. Lee says to Donald. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means either, Donald. Chameleon. That mom says chameleon. Yeah, you can't prove a negative. That's just logically like not even it's ridiculous. Um, like no one's you can't ever ask someone to prove a negative. That hopefully everybody understands that you can't prove a negative. It's just not it's just not a thing. You if you make a claim that something exists, then evidence must be provided for the existence of the thing. You cannot find evidence for non-existence. That doesn't even make any damn sense, right? That mom says, Jay, I believe in cloaking. I just don't think it's cloaking that we think it is. Now, are you talking you mentioned a chameleon. A chameleon isn't cloaking, it's camouflaging, right? It changes colors to blend in with its surrounding, like a cuttlefish or certain other lizards. So it's not cloaking; it's camouflaging. Um, exactly what you're saying. Chessboard says a negative plus a negative makes a positive. Donald says, Mr. Lee, fall asleep. He might have. Jay says, had a few women in my in my life. I wish they disappeared. Raptor says at the bat, Mom, I agree. I understand what you're saying. They're just good at using cover they have. Jen says you have to choose what and who you believe in. If you're right or wrong, you have to accept it. Initially says, I don't know. Batmom says we can't prove that they didn't see the cloaking or Bigfoot poofing and nothing. No, we can't. That would be proven in negative. And that so it's meaningless, right? When someone says you can't prove that, it's absolutely meaningless because you cannot prove negative. So it's not a point at all. It's not a reasonable point to make. It doesn't. It's they're shooting blanks here. It's not real ammunition in the debate. Proving a negative is just not possible for anything. You just can't do it. So when someone demands that you prove the negative, well, you pretty much know all you need to know. They're not willing to provide proof of what they claim, or they're unable, and they can't just admit that. It's like, look, I can't provide evidence for this thing. They want to attack the person who's not believing and try to shift the burden of proof onto them. The burden of proof is never on the other person. It's never. You can't prove a negative. It's just but you see it all the time. You see it all the time with these people. It's maddening. Jay shoot a Philly on that. Michelle says, Donald, I'm trying to work girlfriend new phone, but she has a lock on it. What? That mom says, Lucky, sometimes your science babble goes over my head. Sorry. But we need more science in the Bigfoot stuff. There's too much bullshit, man. And it's maddening. Chessword says the truth always destroys the world we live in. Donald says, of course, Mr. Lee, she don't want you seeing my dick pits. What the fuck, Donald? Man, Donald. It might be a sign we need to wrap this up. Batman says, if it makes sense to me, then it must be true. Uncle Bones says, something on there she don't want you to see, Mr. Lee, says Uncle Bones. I'm pretty sure he's joking. Shirley says Donald Tiny. Oh my gosh. Yep, we have officially degraded. It's maybe small, but it's cute. Oh shit. Yep, we have totally degraded here. Chessboard because we like our own lies before more, it seems. Yeah. We need the truth. We need to just continue to improve people's ability to figure out when they are mistaken, and then not get upset about it. Don't be embarrassed about it. Very intelligent people have been tricked, because you might be a genius, but you're not a genius at salesmanship, for example. A good salesman is a genius at getting people to buy shit that they don't want. And yeah, so you could fall victim to that sometimes. Cute doesn't work, baby. So, oh shit. Raptor says, when the PG film was filmed, how come Bigfoot didn't disappear with UFO, a portal, or cloaking? So you can't believe everything you hear. I'm just saying. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why, because there's nothing crazy going on there. Um, all this other crap has just popped up since. People weren't talking about that shit back then. What we see in the PG film is just a big, hairy person walking away. That's it. What Jay saw was just a big, hairy person hunting hogs. What Joe saw was just a big, hairy person hunting a deer. Perfectly reasonable things to say that you've seen. Patrick Vaughn, on the other hand, he's got the equation, right? He's got the Woodnock equation. He's got it all figured out. He knows how to communicate with Bigfoot. All right. Come to someone else's area, though. And then now I want to make sure, because I'm thinking he's scamming us. So he might have someone who's, he's going to let them know where he's at. So we're going to have to blindfold him, take away his devices, no cell phone. He's not going to be able to text someone and say, hey, this is where we're at. Probably pat him down for hidden devices that could be locating where he's at, because I don't put it past some of these people to go to great lengths to make it seem like they're telling the truth. And this shit will happen. I mean, I've experienced it where someone was lying and I made them jump through hoops to make their lie seem like it's true. And they'll do it. They will do it. And I think that would be the case. So if we were going to test him, we would need to make sure that doesn't have any locator devices on him or anything, and make sure that no one can follow us to where we're going, and then he's going to claim well, there must not be any Bigfoot in the area. The fact is he can't prove his bullshit, and he never will. Mr. Batmom, the bigger the better. What the fuck? That's all you got. How do you know it? Jay says, later folks got to get up early morning, got to level floor, and that self-leveling cement, never done it before. Good luck, Jay. That's what all the girls told you, Mr. Lee. Donald says, Mr. Lee, it's a known fact, gingers have no girth. What the fuck? Pour it on, you'll get it, says Uncle Bones. Batmom says, my dad was an international salesman. He can sell you poop and make you believe it's the best, top of the line poop in the world. Exactly. And we got a few of those salesmen in the Bigfoot community and just selling just absolute poop to people. But, sometimes people can trick themselves too. So that's another thing, Otherwise, very intelligent people. It's just that sometimes the right circumstances can fool you. So you got to be on guard. You got to be willing to say, okay, look, what I think I saw is pretty goddamn ridiculous. How do I prove it? How do I prove that I saw that? And can I show anything that debunks that? Is there more logical explanations for what I thought I saw? Because often there is. Neither does Mexicans. What? Thin as a pencil. What the fuck? You guys. Batmom says Orientals. That breaks my heart. What the hell? Oh man. Chessboard says Jay Fritz on Make Your Day was just handed a BLT with 1/4 pound of bacon, and that's the truth. I'll take one of those too, Chessboard. No bread, no lettuce either, and probably should just go ahead and leave off the tomatoes. A little bit of real mayo might be okay with it though, but I'd prefer you just melted some shredded cheese over it. Donald's cuteness. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, so aid what I'm seeing a spaceship. And should I take better footage for next time? Yeah, you need video. The still pictures just aren't going to be able to tell us anything. All we see is a light here. And I'm zoomed all the way in as far as I can right there, and it could easily just be a star, So because we can't see movement, it's it's just a single photograph. So we need video of this thing, moving, not moving, whatever it does. You said it's done both, right? So Team Boy's here. He says, "What the hell's going on, people?" Welcome, Timmy. I was trying to wrap her up. Mr. Lee and Donald are talking about their manhoods at this point. So we have degraded. It's that time. Bunch of nonsense. Mr. Lee says, Timmy boy, it's all Barry Browning's fault. Yeah. Better footage. Batmom says, Mr. Lee, it's his fault. Donald's sending urgent girl dick pics of his pencil. That's cute. It's you and your wrench's fault, says Timmy boy. Mr. Lee says, Donald, I will get it. Don't be jealous. Chessboard says, thanks, Lockbeard. Blessings all. Thank you, Chessboard. See you later. Donald says, manhood more like childhood on my part. What the fuck? You can't be talking like, hopefully your manhood don't hear you saying that. You're going to affect it negatively. You need to tell it he's a big boy. It's a big boy. Uncle Bo says, Team Boy, Donald sending dick pics to everyone. Good to see you. Might put a smile on his face. Team Boy says, hilarious. Good show tonight, says Raptor. Y'all suck. I just got here, says Team Boy. Yeah, well. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Just the way it goes sometimes. Trying to find something. Probably not going to be lucky enough to find what I'm thinking of. Gosh. Just not going to jump out at me, is it? Just a second. Of course not. Of course not. Sometimes finding clips sometimes just doesn't always work. Oh well. Mr. Lee says, Donald, I will send you a dick pic to cheer you up later. What the fuck? Do they suck? Late to the party gets the ugly ones, says Uncle Bones. The ugly one needs love too, Bones, says Same Boy. Finding the trackway says this is where everyone is. Well, some of us are here. Chessboard says Lockbeard, the words big boy and Miracle Grow do not work. Don't ask how I know. But thank you, Mr. Lee. In the dark, they look the same. Who's on next? Let's have a rating party. I don't know, but there's no way I'm gonna make it through anyone else's. I'll fall asleep. The Raptor says that Mr. Lee, you should have sent him a picture of a soup can. Did or not. Why not? I don't understand why. Boy says the trick is to have no scale. I've heard, Mr. Lee. Yep.
Level out, come on!
Never need to see another one of those for the rest of my damn life.
Yep.
I sense something, a presence I've not felt since.
Where's Papa Craig at? Mr. Lee says, Lockbird, can we have more short videos on the bee stuff? There will be more. There will be more. Donald says, night, folks. Thank you, Lock. See you later, Donald. That damn Tom Cruise says, Mr. Lee. Timmy Boy says, I'd love to say good show, but I don't know. Chessboard says, Uncle Bones, I like the blonde walking through the nude male pool. Man grabs a towel, wraps it around his face. He replied, where I come from, they recognize you by your face. Donald says, Mr. Lee, night, buddy. I was looking for a clip from the Lex, but all I'm getting is fucking. It's just not. Sometimes I wonder if YouTube isn't cooperating on purpose. Yep.
No deal. Zeb, you could be Queen of England? She's not interested. Queen of England owns her own beautiful island full of gardens and antiques. The position is currently filled, but all it would take to free it up would be a couple of phone calls. She is not interested in gardens or antiques.
Then what do you care about, Stanley?
Why do you want us to stay, Prince?
Because I do.
The fact is, Prince, as long as you are around that planet, we don't want anything to do with it.
That stings.
I have an idea. Kai, would you kill Prince if we both asked you to?
Yes.
Yeah, Kai, you could go down to Earth and do your assassin thing on somebody who really deserves it.
Yes. Kai, go down to Earth and kill Prince.
There's one small, tiny little flaw in your thinking.
Which is...
You forget, I'm the head of the most powerful institution on this planet, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms of the United States of America. And as such, I have an immense capacity to protect myself. I can hide away so that you will never, ever find me.
Is that a problem?
No. As a divine assassin, I've performed many difficult assassinations. For instance, Ring Torben, a rebel leader on PT-27. Ring Torben buried himself deep inside the molten core of the planet. He was protected by 50,000 men with robot-controlled ion weapons.
And
I had to kill 2,807 of his men before I killed him. I can eliminate Prince with complete certainty in a short time.
And if you kill me, what then? You know I can be reborn whenever and however I want.
Yeah, it's always a problem when they're reborn. I'm shadow banned. What are you talking about? I'm shadow banned. Uncle Bones says, so it's a no on that Liliac ban link. Mr. Lee, I will remember. I wonder if the cartoon version of the Ticks is on the YouTubes. Says Jen. Mr. Lee, what are you talking about shadow banned? Why'd you say that? Chessport says, Jen, what are you looking for? Uncle One says, Mr. Lee, scroll up. I asked for a link to Pyromedic to look at a band.
They cannot control.
We're closing all the throughputs.
General, do you believe that time flows in a straight line?
I have observed that time is continuous.
Major, do you believe that time travels in a circle? That it is possible to see into the future?
I am not aware of any such divine teaching.
So you do not believe that it is possible?
No divine shadow.
I am a more complex being than my predecessors. Unlike them, I do not believe time travels in a circle, and therefore I do not believe in prophecy.
Divine Shadow?
Yes.
How shall we deal with heretics?
We shall ensure they can make their way to the special projects area uncontested. The time has come to prove that all prophecies are false, that no one can know the future. Major.
Yes, divine shadow.
Kill him.
Kill him?
Yes. Kill him. Kill yourself. Yes. Now kill yourself. Shoot yourself.
Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, why do you have not much subscribers? Don't understand. YouTube shaves them off every so often. Mr. Lee, share it out, man. Share it out. Got to hit 1,000 before they'll monetize. Some series on tick on the, what in the hell? Donald says, because people like the fantasy side of Bigfoot more than the scientific analysis, Mr. Lee. Yeah. Raptor says, Jen, there's no full episode on YouTube that I found. It was a funny show. Yeah, they want their fantasy to be fulfilled, Mr. Lee. And unfortunately, if you're someone who wants to find the truth, you gotta be willing to tackle this. You know, the people who are mistaken, and they get upset, they get pissed off. They feel like they were dumb. You know, if they got fooled by something. But others are they're just so, because belief is something that affects people. It's if you tackle someone's belief, it's like they take it as a personal attack, and you almost can't win. It's like cult members. You can't win. You could try to talk them down, but they got to find their way out pretty much on their own. Otherwise, any attempt to, you say the slightest thing, you say, well, what if maybe what you think isn't true? Oh, how dare you attack me, blah, blah, blah. And it just won't go good. So it's just something we'll continuously have to deal with. And, one day, if someone does discover some critical evidence or method of observation that, can be reliably and repeatedly done by scientists, real scientists, someone will come up with some excuse for why they'll say there's the scientists have a narrative. It's just like the flat earthers. The flat earthers will tell you that NASA is full of shit, and there could be corruption at NASA, but they use that game for the flat Earth narrative. Even though they have zero legitimate science to back up what they're saying, and there's mountains of it to prove that the Earth is a sphere. But they need to back up their belief, and they'll bend over backwards to do it. Pick up short videos, pick up subs. Jen says, thanks, Chess. There was a live version of it too. Wasn't as good though. The cartoon was funny. Sasquatch Wizard and Ardex. Good evening, he says. Welcome. I was getting ready to shut her down. We got way too long. Somebody said something earlier. I was trying to find a specific clip from the TV show The Lex. These two clips were not it, but pertaining to something that somebody said earlier, but it's over now. Mr. Lee says, Wizard, you missed everything, man. Everybody's saying hellos to the Wizard. Donald says, Lock, Susie's partner on our show is a flurf. Terrible. I couldn't believe it. Seriously. This is getting out of hand. You can't fight this kind of ignorance. You just Holy crap, dude. I don't know, Mr. Lee. There must be some kind of mental disorder at play here. But good salesman. We're back to the good salesman. Flat Earth has got good salesmen selling their bullshit to people that are just not smart enough to see through, like, because a sales pitch is only going to work. A good sales pitch is only going to work so much. Sometimes someone trying to sell you a steaming turd that's very obviously a steaming turd is not going to be able to sell that steaming turd no matter how hard they try. But in this case, these salesmen are selling this flat Earth steaming turd, and it's just got to be just that there are people that are they want to believe something like that very badly, and so they'll bend over backwards to make it so. Or they're just really, really fucking stupid. Freakazoid sent Jen an email. Raptor says, Jen, and no, at the time when I was on, I was working second shift, Cartoon Network. Donald says, pretty sure Susie shut it down early because of the way Jura was going off about it. Check out the end of her show. Oh, man. Do I have time? I don't know. I got bigger fish to fry, I think. But this release is Donald. I will watch it. Jen says, maybe Raptor. I don't remember where I saw it. All right. We still ended up going over an hour, but probably need to get better about shutting her down at 2 hours for this thing. Thank y'all for coming. And where's Cartman at? There's Cartman.
Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
And I'll see y'all next time.